The most anticipated anime rematches. Some fights in the world of anime become iconic, and for good reason. Battles like Goku versus Beerus, Genos versus Garou, Gojo versus Sukuna, and others are exactly what makes us love all of this. But what's even more interesting is that it's not uncommon for the door to be left open for rematches. And which are the most anticipated anime rematches? Besides those, let's take a look. Hello everyone, how's it going? There are entire anime series whose core storyline is built on revenge on a rematch. This is very common in shonen anime, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. On the contrary, most of the time the rematch takes a while to happen, and when it finally does, it's absolutely worth it. And we're still waiting for these. Check this out. Yuno versus Zenon Zogratis. Things were going relatively well in Black Clover until the Spade Kingdom decided to attack the Clover Kingdom, including the headquarters of the Golden Dawn, the strongest squad of magic knights in the entire realm. During the attack, carried out by members of the Dark Triad, Yuno is beaten down and discovers that a good part of his squad was wiped out by the same guy who defeated him, Zenon Zogratis, said to be the host of the demon Beelzebub. Ever since that moment, Yuno has been striving to grow stronger in order to take revenge. And since the two kingdoms, Spade and Clover, are at war, this rematch is bound to happen much sooner than we think. Aki Hayakawa versus the Gun Devil. Before the story of Chainsaw Man even begins, the Gun Devil slaughtered a huge portion of the population, and Aki was the sole survivor of his family. Now he's a trained devil hunter, capable of using the powers of demons to his advantage. And guess who becomes the hunter's next target? Exactly, the Gun Devil. Which means this is a guaranteed rematch, and one that has everything to be drastically different from the first time, when Aki was just an ordinary boy and the devil caused mass devastation. Now things are different. Genos versus Garou. Even though Saitama is the hero and the protagonist of One Punch Man, one of the most intriguing storylines is that of his disciple, the half-cyborg Genos. Along his journey, he builds up a massive rivalry with a villain named Garou, whose life philosophy is to annihilate all heroes. Their first clash was intense, but it was interrupted by Garou's masters, and they never crossed paths again. Everyone is dying to see how this will finally end, and I agree because their first unfinished fight was already incredible. Just imagine the rematch. One for all versus all for one. In My Hero Academia, heroes have powers called quirks. The most powerful of them are One for All, which holds 7 abilities, can pass quirks on to others, and can be inherited, and All for One, which steals quirks away. The current wielder of One for All is Izuku Midoriya, while All for One belongs to the villain of the same name. These two quirks have clashed for generations, and now it's Midoriya's turn as the current bearer of One for All to try to eliminate this threat once and for all. People like All Might and Nana Shimura tried and failed. Now it's Midoriya's chance. Tanjiro Kamado versus Akaza. In Demon Slayer, the story follows Tanjiro Kamado, a boy whose family was massacred by Muzan Kibutsuji, the king of demons. Seeking revenge, he becomes a demon slayer and faces Muzan's servants, especially the elite known as the 12 Kizuki. Among them is Akaza, the same demon who killed Kyojuro Rengoku, one of Tanjiro's greatest mentors. In the movie, we saw the first major clash between Tanjiro and Akaza. What a monstrous battle! What an incredible movie! It's there that the story starts to get even darker, with shocking deaths and the feeling that no one is safe. But the real showdown happens in the Infinity Castle movie. That's where their fight truly unfolds, and what an insane battle it is. And this is only the beginning. There are more movies on the way, and I seriously can't wait to see what's coming next, because with every step the journey gets even more intense. Satoru Gojo versus Ryomen Sukuna. Ryomen Sukuna is a very ancient jujutsu sorcerer who was sealed inside objects for a long time. When a normal student comes into contact with one of these objects, he incorporates Sukuna, Hugo's spirit, but struggles for control with him. This is the setting where Jujutsu Kaisen takes place, but there is another sorcerer capable of challenging Sukuna, Satoru Gojo. The two end up fighting, but since Sukuna is half-trapped, the situation is different. At some point, Everyone expects them to battle on equal terms, and when that happens, things are going to get really ugly. Lucky for us, Ichigo Kurosaki versus Urabak. Throughout Bleach, we follow Ichigo Kurosaki's saga as he becomes a Soul Society Shinigami. Now comes the sequel Bleach, Thousand-Year Blood War, where a man named Yhwach appears, the king of the Quincy race. This guy faces Ichigo right from the start, and it's a massacre. The Bleach protagonist almost dies at the very beginning. His Zanpakuto breaks. Everything goes wrong. Urabak has a sinister plan to wipe out the entire world population, and Ichigo is looking for revenge that has all the potential to be the greatest fight in the entire Bleach anime. When it happens, it will be simply epic. Roronoa Zoro versus Dracule Mihawk. In One Piece, everyone knows Roronoa Zoro wants to become the greatest swordsman in the world, but there's a massive obstacle in his way, Dracule Mihawk. He challenges Dracule to a duel early in the story and gets completely crushed. He almost dies and walks away with a huge scar. Since then, a lot has happened. Zoro has grown much stronger and scored some important victories. That means the moment to challenge Dracule Mihawk again is coming. Last time, Zoro was humiliated, with Dracule fighting him using a tiny knife. This time it has to be different. The fight to decide who is the best swordsman in the world has to be nothing short of impressive. Boruto Uzumaki versus Kawaki. The Boruto anime begins with a future scene where an older Boruto Uzumaki prepares to fight a mysterious character named Kawaki. Shortly after, the story flashes back to Boruto's childhood and teenage years, showing how he met Kawaki and everything else. In other words, this is a fight everyone knows will happen at some point, and those following the story already see everything building toward it. But for now, it still hasn't happened. Kawaki threatens to wipe out the shinobi world, while Boruto seems to be Konoha's last defender. Everything is at stake in this battle, which is why it's so anticipated. Goku versus Beerus. At the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, Earth was threatened by the arrival of Beerus, the god of destruction of our universe. He has enough power to erase a planet from existence, and not even Goku's Super Saiyan 3 worked against him. In fact, not even Super Saiyan God worked. Beerus only spared Earth because he enjoys the food Bulma always gives him. That first fight was one of the most incredible. It had been a long time since Goku had taken such a beating, but some things have changed. Now Goku masters Ultra Instinct, a technique he learned from Whis, the angel who accompanies Beerus himself. If Goku and the God of Destruction fought today, things would be very different. Will it ever happen again? And I want to hear from you. Is there a rematch in any anime that you're most excited to see? Which one is the most important? Tell us in the comments. And if you liked this video, hit the like button, give us that support. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and stay tuned for everything happening here. Thanks a lot.